The story that I'm covering today is the story of Hiawayi Robinson. Hiawayi was 8 years old at the time of her death. She lost her life to the hands of her own father, her biological father, whom raped and sodomized her before taking her life. This video is going to start off a little bit different. I'm going to start by showing a video of Hawaii's father, Hiawayi Robinson Jr. And after the video, you'll see Hawaii's story. So stay tuned to listen to her story.
Been sick, down and out, but trying to hold it all together. And if it weren't for my friends and my family or whatever behind me 100%, I don't know what'll be going on with me, you know. Tomorrow, I get up in the morning, I break down and then cry. I just have to keep on with my day to keep myself going, you know. You know, with people saying what they gonna say or whatever, I care less about what a person say anyway. You know what I'm saying? They talk about everybody, so that's the whole thing about it. And then the point that I don't understand, they came and bust my door up, and I'm talking about they could have called me. They been calling me. They've been calling me to open the house up for them and everything. All they had to do was get on the phone, call me or whatever. I would have opened that door up for them. They ain't had to come do what they did. You know what I'm saying? So I guess they had their own reason. You know?
So you're saying you've been very cooperative throughout this whole thing?
Yeah. Any question they asked me, I answered it. You know what I'm saying? Anything they wanted from me, I gave it to them. But I don't know why. I just want to know what the reason for them to come bust the door up like they did. But you know.
What are you going to miss the most about your big girl? She was beautiful.
She called me bald head.
She called you bald-headed? I hear she was quite the jokester.
Oh yeah. When we got together, that's all we did. We had fun and jank and played around. You know, but I don't understand it though. You know? Just as well as they putting showing my house and everything on TV and everything. Ain't no telling who looking for me or anybody like that or whatever. I think that was wrong, you know, but I really got their own reason, like I said. You know, the main question I wanted to ask them, why they didn't call me to ask them to open that door up for them when they had me, they called me not too long ago to open the door, and I would have came to open the door for them. They ain't had to bust the door like that. That's $500-600 worth of work that I got to put back into it now to try to fix my door.
You've been fixing this up for your mom?
Yeah, I've been fixing it for the last couple of years for my mom. You know, been working on it, but I got a job, so I have to work on it at the time I get spare time and everything. You know.
Have they come to your house before? Did they call when they came before?
Yeah, they called me. They told me to meet them. They followed me, and I opened the door for them. Mm-hmm. They got my number just like everybody else. So I gotta keep the phone with me. When they call, I answer.
Do you know if they took anything from Tasha's house?
Nope. I doesn't know. I don't know nothing. I'm just him. That's all I can say.
And how are you planning to continue to build a relationship with him? I know you're surrounded by some really great friends right now.
If it weren't for them, I don't know what I'd be doing. You know, I just wish everything to get back to normal. And people go ahead about their business. Because I ain't out here bothering nobody. You know what I'm saying? I love my daughter just as well as everybody else loves her. And I even love her more, you know, but I reckon people got their own words to say out their own mouth, you know.
Do you have any idea what happened to her? Any theories?
No, but I sit around day by day just like everybody else, waiting on the question to come out. That's all I ask for, you know. So I'm just sitting around just like everybody else. I don't watch the news, so I can't say what's going on in the news or what they say on the news or whatever. So I hadn't watched the news in probably about 3 weeks. So I don't know what's going on in the news or what they say, you know.
You talked to Yoshi recently?
I talked to her probably about, it might have been a couple of days ago.
How's she doing?
She said she was doing fine, you know what I'm saying? But I hadn't called her. Well, I called her. She hadn't answered the phone yesterday when I called, so I hadn't called her no more since then.
Okay.
Hiawayi Robinson was a fun, energetic 8-year-old little girl. She loved playing with her friends and cousins and eating Reese's candy cold. She was actually at the store not far from her house buying Reese's on the day she went missing. She was also very close to her grandma. Hiawayi also liked taking pictures, making videos, and doing fun challenges. On September 16, 2014, in Pritchard, Alabama, Hiawayi had just gotten out of school and was home with her grandma. Her mom was at work and her grandma would be there to take care of her until her mom got home. Hawaii's older sister was at dance practice. Hiawayi had answered a phone call and she asked her grandma if she can go to play with her cousin. Her grandma thought that it was her cousin whom had called. Her cousin was around her age and lived in the same apartment complex that Hiawayi lived in with her mom, and she would visit them often. Her grandma said yes, and Hiawayi ran off to her cousin's house. Her sister had gotten home, and it was kind of late, and she asked where was Hiawayi. Her grandma informed her that she had went to her cousin's to play. Her sister went to go get her, and no one answered the door as no one was home. Her sister called their cousin, and she stated that she hasn't been home all day and that she hadn't seen Hiawayi. So she called Hawaii's father, Hiawatha. He said he hasn't seen his daughter, so at that point they called her mom at work. She arrived home and they called the police to report Hiawayi missing. The next morning, she met with friends and family to canvass the community of her home around St. Stephen's Woods Apartments, pleading to the public for help. Her daughter's birthday was just a few days away, and her mother said that she had faith in God, that her daughter was okay, and that she was coming home. 2 days later, on September 18th, 2014, a mother's worst nightmare came true. Hawaii's body was found in an empty lot on Rebel Road. An employee with the city of Pritchard had found Hawaii's body in a trash pile in an abandoned lot off of Rebel Road. A medical examination of her body showed that her cause of death was positional asphyxiation. She was also found to have been sexually assaulted and sodomized. When she was found, her arms and legs were bent in the shape of a 7. Hawaii's pants and underwear were around one of her ankles, and the rest was bare. Some of the evidence that officers discovered around the scene included 2 clear hair beads, duct tape, 2 zip ties, a piece of sheetrock, a metal bracket, a green wrapper, and an empty box of shotgun shells. A painted inverted cross was also found near Hawaii's body. Deputies with the Mobile County Sheriff's Office said surveillance footage from the convenience store showed a maroon Chevy Tahoe, the same color and type of vehicle that Hiawatha Robinson drove, her father. Investigators also learned that Hiawatha used to work at a building on the lot where his daughter's body was found. One of his friends owned that lot. Detectives with the Federal Bureau of Investigations served a search warrant at the home of Hiawatha Robinson's girlfriend. There they confiscated surveillance video that showed Hiawatha Robinson leaving the house at 3:20 p.m. and not returning until 7:01 p.m. The video shows Hiawatha Robinson taking 2 pieces of clothing out of the SUV and putting them in the laundry room. When an FBI agent later interviewed him, the agent said Hiawatha Robinson was unusually calm. Hiawatha Robinson was arrested and charged with felony murder and sodomy. Investigators did collect DNA evidence and hair from the scene. They tried to match it with hair taken from Hiawatha Robinson's Tahoe, but the test came back inconclusive. DNA comparisons were also inconclusive. Prosecutors later said in court that exposure to the elements could have degraded the samples. Hiawatha Robinson's defense team also leaned on evidence from the scene where Hawaii's body was found. They said her legs were positioned to look like the number 7. Robinson's defense attorney said the scene, including the inverted cross, looked ritualistic and suggested that the killer was part of a cult. The defense tried to portray that Hawaii's mother, Yosha, had many sexual partners who spent time around Hiawayi, and that any of those men could have killed the young girl. On the 5th day of trial, Hiawatha Robinson was brought into the courtroom where he fainted. Doctors said his fainting was likely caused by stress and anxiety. When the trial continued the next day, agents with the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency accused Hiawayi Robinson of accidentally killing his daughter. Hiawayi was ultimately found guilty of felony murder and was sentenced to 100 years in prison. In the wake of Hawaii's death, Alabama lawmakers passed the Hiawayi Robinson Alert Law, which requires Alabama law enforcement agencies to publicize missing children. Hiawayi Robinson would have been 18 years old today. Who would have thought that her own father would be responsible for her death? His own daughter. What kind of sick and twisted being was he? And to even help in the search and even blaming the mom for letting her go out to play, knowing all along that he was the one responsible. It later came out that the phone call that Hiawayi received while her grandma was watching her was from her father telling her to meet him as he was going to give her $100 for her birthday. I am glad justice was served, but nothing can bring that sweet little girl back. I can't imagine what her last moments were like, knowing that her father was doing that to her, and he was the one that ended up taking her life. But thank you so much for listening to Hiawayi Robinson's story, and please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Kim Thurman. My co-anchor, Greg Peterson, has the evening off. Our big story right now at 10 o'clock, the video that has the attention of investigators you can now see here on Local 15. It captures what could be the final moments of 8-year-old Hiawayi Robinson's life. Local 15's Derek Rose first reported yesterday where that video was captured. Today, he went back to get his hands on the tape. He joins us tonight in the newsroom with what he found. Derek?
Kim, we went through that tape second by second, and with this video, we now have the perspective of the federal, state, and local investigators working the case, witnessing what could be the final moments, as we said. Anyone saw Hiawayi Robinson in public alive. The view is from a camera just a few doors down from the Best Future store. Keep your eyes focused on the upper right-hand corner. We zoomed it in for you. From behind the wall, you see a small image run up to the door. That's Hiawayi Robinson in a light-colored shirt and dark shorts. The video time-stamped at just about 4:04 Tuesday afternoon. Inside is where we saw these still photos from Best Future, released earlier this week. Questions had surrounded the woman seen standing near Hiawayi, and it was later determined, though, she was only a customer who later came forward and provided what police called valuable information. The clerks there at Best Future told us Hiawayi was only there for just 6 minutes. The video outside confirms their account. At 4:10, just 6 minutes after she walked in, you see Hiawayi walk out of the store alone and back around the building in the same direction she came. We took our cameras around that corner. There we saw more parking spots and a number of directions the little girl could have gone. The path even leads behind the stores and connects to an adjacent street. And while Hiawayi was inside the store, we counted 16 times where someone either walked in or walked out of the store. It's unclear if police have found those people to question them. We did, however, see investigators back at the store Friday where the video was captured, but as we saw before, those investigators did not speak as they left. And there are other businesses in that shopping center, around that shopping center, but they did not have surveillance cameras from what we saw, and that shopping center is about a quarter mile from Hiawayi's apartment where her family last reported seeing her. Now, how she got to that shopping center, what route she took, was she there alone, and where she went after, all those are key questions investigators are trying to answer. Kim?
That's right, Bob. And this is where he found her, here on Rebel Road. I'm going to have my photographer zoom over here to the memorial that they made. That's where they found the little girl. Right now, it's turned into kind of a beautiful memorial to pay respect to her, but that's not what it looked like earlier today. We talked to Johnny Williams. He's a public works worker with the city of Pritchard. Here's what he had to say.
She was naked, barefooted. That was bad, though.
The moment Johnny Williams found the body of 8-year-old Hiawayi Robinson is a moment he won't forget.
I almost passed out. What did you do with me? They just bust out, start crying.
Williams said he was picking up trash at his job with Pritchard Public Works. A little before noon, he decided to look down Rebel Road. What he found was harrowing.
You see that wire laying down, on the grass, dead. She didn't have nothing on. She didn't have no shoes or nothing. And then I back up and called 911.
Shortly after, police surrounded the scene and confirmed that Hiawayi Robinson's body was found on Rebel Road. Williams said he was driving down Rebel Road when he turned and saw the little girl lying near these bushes.
And Haven.
And I'm Peter Albrecht in tonight for Mel Showers. First on 5, guilty. Tonight, Hiawayi Robinson is a convicted murderer. A jury decided today that he sodomized and killed his 8-year-old daughter, Hiawayi Robinson, in 2014. Nearly 2 years ago, Hiawayi Robinson disappeared from the St. Stephen's Woods apartments where she lived. A massive search for the little girl began that included law enforcement and volunteers. 2 days after she disappeared, a public works employee found Hiawayi's body on Rebel Road in Pritchard. So tonight, there is finally closure in the case that resonated with so many of you. News 5's Allison Spann tells us how the Mobile County District Attorney's Office got the guilty verdict.
After 3 hours of deliberation, the jury issued a verdict of guilty for Hiawayi Robinson. After hearing 11 days of testimony from over 70 witnesses, the jurors found sufficient evidence to convict Robinson of felony murder and the murder and sodomy of his 8-year-old daughter, Hiawayi Robinson. Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Wright says she is confident they got the right guy.
It's been a difficult last 2.5, almost 3 weeks with this jury and with this evidence, and we're happy that justice was served for Hiawayi.
Before the jury came to their decision, they heard nearly 4 hours of closing arguments. Jennifer Wright addressed the jury first and urged them to convict Hiawayi of felony murder. She reminded them of the testimony from medical examiner Dr. Hart and child sex abuse expert Dr. Kirk, who both said they believed Hiawayi suffered a chronic history of sexual abuse. After 30 minutes of closing arguments from the state, defense attorney Jeff Dean took over and spoke for 2 hours, working to cast doubt on the state's case. He insinuated that because of the environment Hiawayi lived in, anyone could have committed this crime. ADA Jennifer Wright came back in full force, saying that all Jeff Dean was doing was blowing smoke screens and trying to take the jury's attention away from the defendant, Hiawayi Robinson. She reviewed the state's key pieces of evidence, surveillance footage, a clear plastic hair bead, and a piece of duct tape. News 5 spoke with an alternate juror who said this evidence convinced him.
The bead and the duct tape, and those were connected to the back of the Tahoe. The evidence became a bit overwhelming in that area, and over the case, there haven't been any other real suspects mentioned.
The 12-person jury must have been just as convinced as Edmondson because they decided to convict. This decision ended a very intense and emotional 3-week-long trial. The next step will be sentencing, and Hiawayi Robinson will be sentenced on October 12th. Reporting in Mobile, Allison Spann, News 5.
Immediately after the verdict, the mother of Hiawayi Robinson and her family burst into tears, happy to have a resolution, but conflicted as to what it means. News 5's Alan Carter spoke to the mother as she left the courtroom and has more.
It began nearly 2 years ago. A missing child, a frantic search, and a grim discovery. Thursday, it ends with the conviction of the little girl's father. But closure is not the fitting word for the mother of Hiawayi Robinson.
That's the biggest thing. How could he? That's his daughter. My daughter. Our daughter. It makes the pain worse. That's her daddy.
The whole 3-week trial has been an emotional test for Yosha Populus. And she says as hard as the allegations were to come to terms with, in the end, she has little doubt.
Never did I want to believe that. Never did I want to accept that. I went by every day. Evidence, facts. That's what I went off for, not what nobody told me. I went off evidence and facts.
On the other side, another mother losing her son, but not believing this verdict as the truth.
Because they ain't caught the one who did it. They got the wrong man. They got the wrong person, and I know.
Robinson will still have to be sentenced a month from now. We asked Hawaii's mom what she wants from that.
I don't want him to die, for sure. I want him to live what he did every day, just like I live with every day without her. But I want him to get just what he deserves.
Reaction tonight also from city officials in Pritchard. This from the mayor. We all have believed all along that justice would be served on behalf of our dear Hiawayi. While our community deeply misses her, the concluding of this case can allow the city of Pritchard to get final closure in this tragic loss. Reporting live in the newsroom, Alan Carter, News 5.